open them.
Give me the scarf, bitch.
I can't get nothing else. I put these on and I'll give it.
Hey everyone, BB Funerology here with another Best Moments video. Today I'm going to be talking about Big Brother 11, so major spoilers for all things BB11 ahead. And if you like this video, consider hitting that subscribe button because I'm making a whole lot of videos just like it. So let's cut to the chase and dive right in. Coming in at number 10. So after Jessie gets sent home, his alliance is basically in mourning. They crack open apparently one of Jessie's wine bottles, but they give a toast to the guy, and they act like he was a saint. And don't get me wrong, Jessie wasn't a bad dude, but he wasn't anything special either. At first, this whole scene gave me shades of the friendship cult from Big Brother 6 and their super weird obsession with Cappy. And I had those vibes until Kevin butted in from the diary room to make sure we're all aware he wasn't at all going for these culty vibes.
These girls are acting as if Jessie just got hit by a Mack truck and had been killed. Please, girls, the guy was an idiot. Chima, do you not remember that Jessie nominated you? Lydia, do you not remember that Jessie voted to evict you from this game? And Natalie, did you just not see Jessie get upset at me for keeping you in this game? Why are you crying over him?
I'm just so glad that the audience had someone they could relate to in this moment, because yes, it was super weird. Number 9. So for the first time ever, Big Brother introduces Pandora's Box. And I really like these because they usually have very minimal game impact, but instead it's usually just prizes and punishments for certain people. So Kevin is shown 10k, and so he takes the bait and he puts his hand in the box to release said 10k. And then something or someone locks him in the box. So there's a TV in this room, and then they show Kevin $1 bills raining in the backyard, and the house guests come out and start scooping up all the money. They reveal to Kevin there's a key in the house somewhere, and the other house guests need to get it to unlock him. So at one point, Natalie comes inside, and Kevin makes up a lie that they only get to keep the money if they get Kevin the key. So naturally, Natalie goes and looks for more money. And Kevin sees her go back out for more money. But eventually he tells Jeff also, and Jeff finally goes and finds the key and unlocks him. Kevin ends up getting some money, but clearly not as much compared to the other house guests. And this twist was so great. It brought some great laughing moments, and it didn't give anyone any crazy power. It didn't refrain the house guests from making big moves. It was all just some big fun, and that's what I really look for in a twist. Number 8. Natalie also got a Pandora's Box this season. They show her boyfriend on the TV, and they say, if you open Pandora's Box, you can't play in this week's veto. She was HOH, so this wasn't a big deal for her, but she was kind of being sketchy to Kevin, who did need the veto this week to not go home. But she goes in, and she gets proposed to by her boyfriend, and he gives her a twisty tie for a ring. Yeah. So, wow, what an awesome moment for her. But then she finds out she only gets 5 minutes. But Big Brother says you can get 15 more minutes if you press this button, but the rest of the house guests will be annoyed. So they send in a bunch of weird characters to annoy the house guests, which was funny, I suppose. But Natalie comes out and tells the house guests a lie. She says she got the final 2 reversal twist, and if she wins the game, then she loses.
And instantly I'm thinking, bitch, you lying.
So the rest of the house guests besides Natalie get together, and Jordan says she thinks Natalie's lying. Listen, Jordan isn't
the smartest crayon in the box.
So if you can't fool her, you're not fooling anyone. Kevin confronts her and says it doesn't make any sense, so she comes clean.
All y'all just got by an 18-year-old. I just pranked all you guys. Because I know you guys all believed me, right?
So she comes clean and she says what really happened. And at this point, it's a little boy who cries wolf situation, and they're not sure if she's lying again or not. And hear me out. If you want to throw away your chance of winning Big Brother, make up a terrible, unbelievable lie, then come clean and say, I got you all right, when everyone knows you're lying. I'm sure this is the quickest way to throw out all credibility that you're some master manipulator when you pull moves like this. And if that doesn't seem to hammer it home enough, maybe show up to your first HOH win ceremony like this. Yeesh. No wonder why Jordan could win a season like this. When you're up against some clown who does stuff like this, it must have been pretty easy. Number 7. As you know, on eviction night, each nominee has their chance to say one final speech. And yeah, somewhere like 95% of these are safe, boring speeches that have little to no impact. But every once in a while, A house guest just goes in and gives us a great moment. Well, the week Ronnie went home, Ronnie gave us a little show. Ronnie thanks production and Jessie, but here is Ronnie's final moment.
There's so much good in all of you, except for you, Michelle. You honestly, through your actions this game, I have come to believe you are quite possibly, and I wanted to say some very truthful things, but I'm going to be nice and just simply say you are the worst human being I've ever had the misfortune of meeting, and I absolutely feel sorry for you.
So, wow, that was pretty nuts. Where did that come from? This felt so out of left field. I know him and Michelle didn't always see eye to eye, but this was so bizarre. It gave me shades of Steve Moses from Big Brother 17 randomly just hating Becky for no reason, and it being pretty much a one-sided hatred. So, very strange moment, but nonetheless, very entertaining. So thank you, Ronnie, for giving us this moment. Number 6. So Kevin realizes it's getting down to the wire, and that soon Jeff and Jordan will be targeting him. So Kevin makes a complete fabricated lie out of thin air to say to Jeff. So he makes up this conversation that he had with Russell, where Russell said he was targeting Jeff and Jordan as soon as he gets the chance. And Jeff pretty much falls for this hook, line, and sinker. Then Jeff brings it up to Jordan.
You think Kevin wouldn't lie, you think?
No.
And even though this doesn't have impact immediately this week, it does eventually fall Kevin's way when Jeff does decide to betray Russell. This here was awesome gameplay. To make up a complete lie that had actual no root in reality is great. This, in my opinion, was the best move in Big Brother 11. It's a shame Kevin didn't win the final 3 HOH, because if he did, I think he easily wins the game. Number 5. In the later endgame, Jeff, Jordan, Russell, and Michelle, they were supposedly in a Final Four alliance. Well, Jeff decides it's time to side with Kevin and Natalie instead, because of the lie Kevin told him, and he puts up Russell after the veto's used. Russell is understandably angry that Jeff put him up, and they start to blow up at each other. Russell knows he's going home, and he threatens Jeff by saying,
"If you don't win this game, you better hope to God you don't come in that your house, because I will mop your face all up and down that ground, and I mean it."
Jeff does not take this sitting down and threatens him right back.
I will lose $500 and bust you right in the mouth right now if you talk to me like that again.
So they go back and forth, and this is just crazy. But later, Russell just starts antagonizing Jeff and Jordan, and this time, Jordan blows up at him.
You think I'm scared of you, Russell? You think I'm scared of you?
So there's two kinds of villains in Big Brother. There's villains you love to hate, like Dr. Will, and then there's just villains you hate to hate, and that's Russell. He mentions how it's strategy to personally attack people, to mess with them and get under their skin. But there is some fine line somewhere, and he passed it by miles. Number 4. So week 2 in the house, and Ronnie is the HOH. After playing the middle in week 1, Ronnie has to pick a side. So Ronnie goes all in with the athletes and nominates Jeff and Laura. Well, Jeff wins veto, so Ronnie needs a replacement nominee. Both sides of the house are pitching to put up Russell because he's blowing up on people. And Ronnie, still undecided, starts saying he's going along with the plan to nominate Russell. But when the veto meeting comes, he nominates Jordan. Yeah, weird. Then Ronnie ends up wanting to get Russell hated by the house anyway, so he makes up a lie that Russell said he'll get the votes for Laura to stay when Laura was clearly going home. And this information spreads like wildfire. Both sides of the house compared notes, and they all realize Ronnie is making up lies out of thin air. So the house guests get together, and they basically all call out Ronnie. And Ronnie, being the rat he is, won't say where he got certain pieces of information.
I'm not being put on the spot. I promised Laura what was set up there was between me and Laura. I'm okay with how it looks, and everyone's going to make up their mind, so I'm okay with that.
Then everyone just gets really angry at Ronnie and decide Ronnie has to go soon. And Russell brings in the house and basically puts Ronnie on the spot. Everyone gets aggressive with him. And it's pretty funny until Russell takes it to the next level and just hounds Ronnie all week every chance he gets. Ronnie ends up locking himself in his HOH room for a few days just to avoid Russell. And Russell pushes so hard that even his alliance members Jessie and Natalie say Russell is taking it much too far. And while Ronnie was just making up lies, you end up feeling bad for the guy. Number 3. It's the first week, and the veto competition is the one where you have to spell the longest possible word you can. And first off, this competition was themed to be a giant face with zits, and you have to pop them to get the letters? Gross. Nasty. The hell. Why would they do this to the viewers and the house guests? But when they showed the house guests and what words they spelled, it was just disaster after disaster. Chima and Lydia both couldn't find the letters they wanted to spell pretty long words. Natalie spells last. Yeah, just last. 4 letters was the best she could come up with in 10 minutes. Russell spells shotgun, so a 7-letter word should be pretty easy to beat. Jessie can't spell continuously, so he's out. Then Jeff tries to spell TECHNOTRONICS. That's right, TECHNOTRONICS. Where in the hell did he hear this made-up word that he thought was an actual word? This was a sad house of spellers. So Russell wins with 7 letters. And come on, 7 letters is usually towards the bottom of the pack when it comes to these competitions. But later this week, Russell decides he wants to mess with Jeff and wants to get in his head and hopes Jeff will do something to screw up his position in the game. So Russell just starts attacking Jeff and says TECHNOTRONICS probably 100 times in maybe 10 minutes. But Jeff doesn't take any of this lying down.
That's for sure.
Any day of the week.
No problem,
Any
brother.
day.
No
I will
problem.
take you any day.
No problem, dog. This ain't WWF. I'll knock you out.
But this honestly was such a dumb fight, and the whole time both of their arguments are, you can't spell, and you spelled shotgun, so who cares? But it did just enhance the moment of Jeff not being so bright and trying to spell TECHNOTRONICS, and it made it an even more memorable moment. Sliding into that number 2 spot is the Coup Detat, or as Jeff calls it,
Coup Detat?
So up until this moment, Jessie, Chima, Natalie, and Russell were pretty much running the game. So production announces this power, and they give America the vote to give it to someone. America votes to give it to Jeff, which makes sense. Jeff and Jordan were given a golden edit, and they were the underdogs, and America wanted the house shaken up. So Jeff gets the coup d'etat, and he wants to make a move to further himself in the game and shake up the current power structure. So he made a promise to save Russell with the veto if he wins, which really meant he was going to save Russell with the coup d'etat on eviction night, and he does just that. He saves Russell, and he puts up Natalie and Jessie. Jessie, knowing he's defeated, tells Jeff it was a good move, and then he goes home. I have a lot of problems with this twist. First of all, from a viewer's perspective, we know where the power is and when it expires, so it makes this whole week leading up to it feel completely pointless. Like, sure, Chima made some nominations, but who cares? Then there's this drama with, will Kevin use the veto or not? Again, who cares? Jeff's just going to change everything at the last minute anyways. Then the power itself is obviously so overpowered. Jeff gets to take both nominations off and choose replacements. Like, maybe one nomination, or he doesn't get to choose replacements. Maybe try and make this thing a little more balanced. Now let's talk about Jessie. This poor guy. First in Big Brother 10, America makes Dan vote out Jessie as the deciding swing breaker vote to send him home. And then here, America gives Jeff the power to basically just send Jessie home at the last second. This guy cannot catch a break with America. And in this season, I think Jessie had a pretty solid chance of winning, right until about 5 minutes before he went home. So that kind of sucks. I think there are better ways to shake up the house using twists that aren't just super unbalanced and give one person a crazy amount of power. But coming in that top spot is Chimas Expulsion. So one day, production gives the house guests the competition to practice for an upcoming veto. Chima was not happy after the whole coup d'etat saga, and she was sleeping, so Kevin goes and gets her so she can practice for the veto too. Production asks Chima to put on her microphone a few times, and Chima basically just says no to them. Then they start to flashback to all the bad things Chima has done since she's gotten there. And listen, if you're going to expel someone for doing something like this, I think this is a little bit overkill. Sure, at any point, they could have made a similar montage for any house guest when they've done stuff when they're frustrated. They spend over 90 days locked in a house, making them slowly go crazy, so I'm not sure this was super necessary. But then, cut back to the current day, and Kevin is going to get Chima's microphone for her, and Chima gets it, and just throws it in the pool. So obviously this thing is going to break. But then production starts calling her into the diary room, and Chima's just like, nah, I'm not going.
If I leave the house, I'm out.
Chima,
No, I'm not
please
coming.
go to the diary room.
Off.
Then Allison Grodner comes onto the loudspeaker calling her in, and she knows something's about to go down.
Chima, just go.
Hey, Chima.
I'm not coming.
Chima, it's Allison.
I'm not coming.
I hear what you're saying.
I'm not coming.
I need you to come. I need you to come to the diary room now. So please do that, okay?
Tired of being talked to.
She goes to the diary room and...
All right, no need to sit down.
Okay.
I'm gonna go up this way.
So, This had major repercussions in the house. It ended the week right there. Michelle was no longer HOH, and they started a new week. They also had to cancel a double eviction that was supposed to be the next episode. It was the third ever expulsion from Big Brother in 11 seasons, and while I don't necessarily like the way that the expulsion was explained to the viewers, I think she had to go. But all I'm saying is, when you put crazy powers out there like the Coup Detat, you're going to have people that feel like production is straight up working against them. So maybe we shouldn't be putting crazy overpowered twists randomly into one house guest, and instead let the game play out. So those are my top 10 moments of Big Brother 11. Was there any moment you wish I included, or anything from the live feeds that I missed? Let me know down in the comment section below. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
I don't know how to really tell time on the clock.
You don't know how to tell time on the clock?
Like if people say a quarter till, I'm always like, what time is that? So I'd like turn around and ask someone else, and, excuse me sir, what time is it? And if they say a quarter till, I just keep asking until somebody says like 8:25 or 8.